The cabin was packed. Elias Ward held his sleeping daughter Mira against his chest. 6 years old, breathing soft. He moved down the aisle in his faded work shirt, heading for seat 12F. A woman in a designer blazer occupied 12E, Veronica Blackwell. CEO. Cold stare. She looked him up and down. You? In 12F? Must be a mistake. Elias showed his boarding pass. She laughed out loud. They'll let anyone sit next to me. Passengers grinned. Someone started recording. Elias whispered, Please, my daughter's sleeping. Veronica rolled her eyes. It's economy. She'll survive. Then the speaker crackled. Would Mr. Elias Ward in seat 12F please identify himself? The cabin froze. 3 months earlier, Elias Ward stood in his garage workshop, grease under his fingernails, engine parts scattered across the workbench. He fixed industrial machinery for a living, small contracts, steady enough to pay rent, nothing fancy. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and Mira's cartoon playing softly in the living room. She sat on the couch, knees tucked under her chin, watching the screen but not really watching. That distant look she got sometimes, the one that broke his heart every single time. Elias wiped his hands on a rag and walked over. Sat beside her. You okay, sweetheart? She nodded, but her eyes stayed on the TV. I miss Mama. He pulled her close, kissed the top of her head. Me too, baby. Every single day. His wife Sarah had died 2 years ago. Cancer, fast and cruel. She made him promise something before she left. No war stories, no medals, no military talk around Mira. She wanted their daughter to know him as a father, not a soldier, not a hero, just dad. So that's what he became. He quit talking about Afghanistan, stopped answering calls from old unit members, put his uniform in a box in the attic, and never looked back. Most people in town had no idea. To them, he was just the quiet mechanic who kept to himself, the single dad who picked his kid up from school every day at 3:15, the guy who always said thank you and never caused trouble, and that was fine with him. Elias didn't need recognition. He needed routine, stability, a life where Mira felt safe. But Mira was struggling. The loud noises scared her. Fireworks, thunder, even someone dropping a book too hard. She'd freeze. Her whole body would go stiff. Then the tears. The school counselor said it was anxiety, recommended therapy. Elias took her twice a week, paid out of pocket because his insurance barely covered anything. Still, she was getting better, slowly. That's why this trip mattered. Mira's grandmother lived across the country. She'd been asking to see her granddaughter for months. Elias finally saved enough for 2 plane tickets. It wasn't much, but it was something. He wanted Mira to feel normal, to laugh, to forget the hard stuff for a little while. Now, Veronica Blackwell. She had a different story. Veronica grew up poor, trailer park poor. Her mother worked 3 jobs and still couldn't keep the lights on. Kids at school mocked her secondhand clothes, called her trash. She swore she'd never be powerless again. So she clawed her way up. Business school on loans, 80-hour weeks, ruthless deals. She built an empire, a tech firm worth hundreds of millions. But somewhere along the way, she forgot what it felt like to be on the bottom. Now she measured people by their titles, their net worth, their seats on a plane. And when she saw Elias in that worn shirt, holding that sleepy little girl, she saw weakness. She saw someone beneath her. She didn't see sacrifice, or strength, or love. She just saw economy class. That's why she laughed. But the announcement changed everything. When the captain called Elias's name over the speaker, Veronica's smirk faded. Her stomach tightened. Around her, passengers sat up straighter. Whispers spread like wildfire. Who was he? Why did the captain need him? And why did 2 flight attendants suddenly look so serious as they rushed towards seat 12F? The younger flight attendant arrived first, her face pale, voice shaking slightly. Sir, are you Mr. Ward? Elias nodded slowly, shifted Mira gently in his arms. Yeah, that's me. The second attendant stepped closer. Older, professional, but her eyes showed something. Respect, maybe, or nerves. "Sir, the captain has requested your presence in the cockpit. Immediately. It's urgent." The cabin erupted. Passengers craned their necks. Phones came out. Everyone wanted to see what was happening, who this guy really was. Veronica leaned back in her seat, arms crossed, that smug expression back on her face. "Oh, this should be good. What are you, some kind of celebrity?" A guy 2 rows back laughed. "Bet he's getting kicked off for something." Another woman chimed in. "Probably tried to upgrade without paying." "Or lied about his ticket," someone else added. Elias ignored them. He looked down at Mira. She was stirring now, eyes fluttering open. "Daddy? It's okay, baby. I'll be right back." He handed her to the older flight attendant. Mira's lip quivered. She hated being separated from him. "I promise. 2 minutes." He stood, walked down the aisle. Every eye on him. Phones recording, whispers following him like a shadow. Veronica muttered just loud enough for people around her to hear. "Watch. He'll probably get escorted off. Poor guy's about to be humiliated." Someone snickered. But when Elias reached the cockpit door, something unexpected happened. The co-pilot opened it from the inside, stepped aside, and the captain stood up from his seat. Then he did something no one saw coming. He saluted. Full military salute. Hands sharp against his forehead. Eyes locked on Elias. "Sir," the captain said quietly, "we didn't realize you were on this flight." Elias's jaw tightened. He glanced back toward the cabin, toward Mira, then back at the captain. "I'm not sir anymore," he said softly. "I'm just a dad trying to get my daughter home." The captain didn't lower his hand. "Ground control just flagged your name. Security protocols. They want confirmation it's really you." "Why?" The co-pilot spoke up, former Air Force himself. He looked at Elias like he was seeing a ghost. "Because you're on a very short list, sir. People the military keeps track of, for safety reasons." Elias exhaled slowly. "I left that life behind." "Respectfully, sir," the captain said, "that life doesn't leave people like you." Outside the cockpit window, Elias could see the tarmac below. And there they were, 4 United States Air Force officers, standing in formation, hands raised, saluting the plane, saluting him. Elias closed his eyes for a second. When he opened them, his voice was steady but tired. "Tell ground control it's me. Tell them I'm just here with my daughter. That's all." The captain nodded, finally lowered his salute. "Understood, sir." Elias turned and walked back into the cabin. The whispers stopped. Everyone stared. He made his way back to seat 12F. Mira reached for him immediately. He scooped her up, held her close. Veronica was no longer smiling, but she couldn't help herself. "Wow," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "Did you enjoy your little moment up there? Pretending you're important?" A couple passengers chuckled nervously, but something felt different now. The energy had shifted. Elias didn't respond. He just buckled Mira into her seat, smoothed her hair, kissed her forehead. "Daddy, what happened?" she whispered. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just grown-up stuff." The plane began to taxi. The hum of engines grew louder. Then suddenly the aircraft shook. A sharp jolt. Mira gasped. Her hands shot to her ears. "Daddy!" Elias pulled her into his chest. "You're safe. I've got you. Just turbulence." But Mira was trembling now, eyes wide, breathing fast. That panic he knew too well. He spoke low and calm, the voice he used when she woke up from nightmares. "Look at me, Mira. Look at Daddy. Breathe with me. In, out, in, out." She followed his rhythm, slowly, her breathing steadied. Veronica watched. For the first time since boarding, she really looked at him, not at his clothes, not at his seat, at him, the way he held his daughter, the gentleness, the patience, the way she trusted him completely. Something stirred in Veronica's chest, something she hadn't felt in years. Guilt. Then the overhead speaker crackled again. The captain's voice filled the cabin, clear, steady, unmistakable. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a moment to inform you of something important. Every head turned toward the speakers. We are honored today to have on board former United States Air Force Master Sergeant Elias Ward, recipient of the Silver Star, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and the Valor Ribbon. Silence. Complete. Absolute. Silence. Sergeant Ward served 3 tours in Afghanistan, and during his final mission, he saved the lives of 12 servicemen and women when their aircraft went down under enemy fire. Veronica's face went white. The guy who laughed earlier looked down at his phone. The woman who mocked him covered her mouth. He was critically injured in that rescue, and he has carried those scars ever since. We are grateful for his service, and grateful he's here with us today. The cabin stayed frozen. Elias didn't move, didn't look up, just held his daughter. And Veronica realized something. The man she mocked, the man she laughed at, was the most important person on this plane. Comment respect. If you believe true heroes never brag about who they are. The older flight attendant approached Veronica 10 minutes later. She leaned down, spoke quietly. "Ma'am, may I speak with you for a moment?" Veronica blinked, still processing, still numb. "What?" The attendant gestured toward the galley. "Just for a second, please." Veronica stood, followed her, away from the seats, away from the stairs. The attendant's name tag read, Linda. She looked to be in her 50s, kind eyes, the kind of person who'd seen a lot. "I wanted you to know something," Linda said softly, "about Mr. Ward." Veronica crossed her arms, defensive. "I already heard the announcement. There's more." Linda glanced back toward seat 12F, where Elias sat with Mira curled against him, reading her a picture book in a low voice. "That mission the captain mentioned, the one where he saved 12 people." Veronica said nothing. "It was supposed to be a routine supply drop," Linda continued, "but their helicopter got hit by enemy fire, went down hard. Middle of hostile territory. The pilot was unconscious. The co-pilot had a broken leg. Most of the crew was trapped inside." Veronica's throat tightened. "Mr. Ward was the only one who could move. He had a fractured rib, shrapnel in his shoulder, but he pulled every single person out of that wreck, one by one. While they were taking fire," Linda's voice cracked slightly, "my nephew was on that helicopter. He was 19 years old. First deployment. Mr. Ward carried him 300 yards to the extraction point, came back for the others, refused to leave until everyone was out." Veronica felt her stomach drop. "He took 2 bullets doing it, one in the leg, one in the side, kept going anyway. Didn't stop until the last person was safe." Linda wiped her eyes quickly. "They gave him the Silver Star. But you know what he did with it?" Veronica shook her head. "Put it in a box. Never talked about it. The media wanted interviews. The Air Force wanted him to do recruitment events. He said no to everything. Just asked to go home." "Why?" Veronica whispered. "Because his wife was dying. Cancer. Stage 4. She had maybe 6 months left. He wanted to spend every second with her and their daughter." Veronica felt tears burn behind her eyes. "He left the military, walked away from a full pension, walked away from honors, walked away from everything, because his family needed him more." Linda looked directly at Veronica. "That man you mocked? He's the reason my nephew is alive today. He's the reason 12 families didn't get folding flags and condolence letters." Veronica couldn't speak. Linda patted her arm gently. "I just thought you should know." She walked back to her station. Veronica stood there, alone, hands shaking. She thought about every word she'd said, every look, every laugh. She felt sick. Back at seat 12F, Mira was asking her father a question. "Daddy, why did that lady say mean things to you?" Elias smiled softly, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Some people are scared, sweetheart. When they're scared, they build walls. Sometimes those walls look like mean words. But you're not scary." "I know, baby, but she doesn't know that yet." Mira thought about this, then nodded seriously. "Maybe we should be nice to her, so she's not scared anymore." Elias kissed her forehead. You're smarter than most grown-ups, you know that? 20 minutes passed. The plane leveled out, seatbelt signs turned off. People moved around, stretched, headed to the bathroom. Then the turbulence hit again. Harder this time. The plane dropped. Luggage shifted in the overhead bins. Someone screamed. Mira grabbed her father's arm. "Daddy!" The cabin jolted violently. Warning lights blinked. The captain's voice came on. "Flight attendants, please take your seats immediately." Elias held Mira tight. "It's okay, just rough air. The plane is strong." But the shaking didn't stop. One of the flight attendants stumbled, grabbed a seat back for balance. Passengers were gripping armrests, eyes wide. Then Elias stood up. He moved toward the front of the cabin. Calm, steady. The senior attendant looked at him. "Sir, you need to sit down." "I know," he said quietly, "but I also know aircraft systems. Let me talk to the captain." She hesitated, then nodded. Elias went to the cockpit, knocked. The door opened. The captain looked stressed. The co-pilot was checking readings. "Hydraulic pressure's fluctuating," the captain said. "Not critical, but not normal either." Elias glanced at the instruments. Years of training kicked in. Muscle memory. "May I?" The captain stepped aside. Elias scanned the gauges, the readouts, the pressure levels. He'd seen this before. Different plane, same problem. "Check your secondary hydraulic line. Gauge 3. If it's reading below 50, you've got a slow leak. Not dangerous, but it'll keep giving you rough handling." The co-pilot checked, eyes widened. "He's right. Gauge 3, 48 psi. The captain adjusted the controls, rerouted pressure. The shaking smoothed out almost immediately. He turned to Elias, extended his hand. "Thank you, Sergeant." Elias shook it. Just Elias. He walked back to his seat. The entire cabin watched him, silent, respectful. When he sat down, Mira hugged him. "You made it stop shaking, Daddy." "The pilot did, sweetheart. I just helped a little." But Veronica had seen everything. She stood up, walked over, stood in the aisle next to seat 12F. Her voice was quiet, sincere. "Can I sit here, just for a minute?" Elias looked up, studied her face, saw something different now, something softer. "Sure." Veronica sat on the armrest, looked down at her hands. "I need to apologize." Elias didn't say anything, just waited. "I judged you, completely, unfairly. I saw your clothes, your seat, and I assumed I knew who you were." She met his eyes. "I was wrong, terribly wrong." Elias nodded slowly. "Most people are, until they look closely." Veronica's lip trembled. "I grew up being judged, for being poor, for not fitting in. I swore I'd never be that person, and then I became exactly that." Mira tugged on Veronica's sleeve. "It's okay," the little girl said. "Daddy says everybody makes mistakes. That's how we learn." Veronica smiled, a real smile, the first genuine one in years. She reached into her purse, pulled out a business card, wrote something on the back. "If you or Mira ever need anything, anything at all, please call me." Elias took the card, read it, then looked back at her. "Seat 12F is yours if you ever want it back." Veronica laughed, soft and surprised. "Only if I get to sit beside you and Mira." The plane descended through the clouds. 30 minutes to landing. The captain's voice came over the speaker one more time. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be landing shortly. On behalf of the crew, thank you for flying with us today." Then he paused. "And Sergeant Ward." "Sir, there's something waiting for you on the ground." Elias frowned slightly, looked at Mira. She was coloring in her book, content. He didn't know what the captain meant, but Veronica did. She'd overheard Linda talking to the other flight attendants, whispering, making calls. The Air Force had been notified. They knew Elias was on this flight, and they weren't going to let him land quietly. The wheels touched down, smooth. The plane taxied toward the gate. Passengers started gathering their bags, checking phones, stretching. But as the plane rolled closer, people near the windows started pointing. "What is that? Are those soldiers? Oh my God!" Elias looked out the window, his breath caught. Standing on the tarmac, in perfect formation, 10 United States Air Force officers, dress uniforms, white gloves, hands raised in salute. They weren't moving, weren't blinking, just standing at attention. For him. The plane stopped. The seatbelt sign turned off, but nobody moved. Everyone was staring out the windows now, at the officers, at the scene unfolding below. The captain came over the speaker again, his voice thick with emotion. "Sergeant Ward, sir," they insisted. Elias closed his eyes, took a breath. Mira looked up at him. "Daddy, why are those people standing like that?" He opened his eyes, looked down at his daughter. "They're saying thank you, sweetheart." "For what?" "For something I did a long time ago." Mira tilted her head. "Were you a superhero?" Elias smiled, sad and soft. "No, baby, just a soldier." The door opened. The jetway connected, but the flight attendants didn't start the usual exit process. Instead, Linda stepped forward. "Mr. Ward, they'd like you to exit first, if that's okay." Elias hesitated. He didn't want the attention, didn't want the spectacle. But Veronica stood up, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Let them honor you," she said quietly. "You've earned it." He looked at her, then nodded. Elias picked up Mira, grabbed their small bag, walked toward the front. Every passenger watched him, silent, respectful. Some had tears in their eyes. One man stood, started clapping, then another. Then the entire cabin erupted in applause. Elias stopped, turned, looked at all these strangers, the same people who'd laughed at him, mocked him, recorded him. Now they were standing, clapping, honoring him. He nodded once, a small acknowledgement, then stepped off the plane. The moment his feet hit the jetway, he could see them through the windows. The officers, still standing, still saluting. He walked down the jetway, into the terminal, and there they were. 10 men and women in uniform, faces serious, eyes locked on him. The senior officer stepped forward. A colonel, gray at his temples, chest full of ribbons. "Master Sergeant Ward, permission to salute, sir." Elias's throat tightened. "I'm retired, Colonel." "Once a hero, always a hero, sir." The colonel saluted, sharp, precise. Elias set Mira down gently, then returned the salute. The other 9 officers held theirs. Behind him, passengers were filing out, stopping, watching, phones out. But this time, not to mock, to witness. One of the younger officers spoke, voice steady but emotional. "My father served with you, sir, in Afghanistan. You saved his life. He talks about you every day." Elias's eyes glistened. He blinked hard. "What's his name, son?" "Lieutenant Marcus Green, sir." Elias remembered. The kid with the broken leg, barely 20, crying for his mom. "Is he okay?" "Yes, sir. He's home. He's a teacher now. Has 2 kids." Elias nodded. Couldn't speak. Veronica stood at the edge of the crowd, watching. Tears streaming down her face. She'd spent years climbing, fighting, proving herself. And this man had spent years hiding, serving, loving his daughter. She finally understood. Dignity isn't loud. Honor doesn't need applause. And heroes don't need seats in first class. Outside the terminal, the late afternoon sun cast golden light across the parking lot. Veronica walked beside Elias and Mira, quiet, thoughtful. Mira held both their hands, swinging between them like a bridge. "Miss Veronica, do you like ice cream?" Veronica smiled. "I love ice cream." "Can you come with us, please?" Elias glanced at Veronica. She looked different now, softer, real. "You don't have to," he said. "I want to," she replied. They walked toward the parking area, wind gentle, the weight of the day settling. Mira skipped ahead slightly, humming. Veronica spoke quietly. "Why didn't you tell anyone who you were?" Elias watched his daughter. "Heroes talk too much. Warriors don't." Veronica nodded, understanding now. "I spent my whole life chasing respect," she said, "building walls, proving I belonged, and you just quietly carried it. without needing anyone to see. Elias stopped, looked at her. You already belong there, Veronica. You just forgot. Her eyes welled up. Mira ran back, grabbed Veronica's hand again. Come on, Daddy always gets chocolate. But I think you look like a strawberry person. Veronica laughed, a full, genuine laugh. You know what, Mira? You're absolutely right. They walked together, three people who started as strangers, who met in judgment and left in grace. Elias glanced back once, at the terminal, at the life he'd left behind years ago. Then he looked forward, at his daughter, at this unexpected friendship, and he smiled, because seat 12F taught him something. The world doesn't owe you recognition, but kindness, humility, love. Those never need an announcement. Never judge someone by the seat they sit in, or the clothes they wear, or how ordinary their life looks from the outside. The quietest person in the room might carry the heaviest story. The most humble might be the most heroic. Respect isn't earned by titles, or money, or status. It's earned through sacrifice, through showing up, through loving people when no one's watching. Elias didn't need a first-class ticket to be worthy. He didn't need applause to be honorable. He just needed to be a good father, a good man, a protector, and that was enough. So before you laugh, before you judge, before you assume someone is less than you, look closer, because the person you're dismissing might be the one who would save your life without thinking twice. True honor never announces itself. It just quietly changes the world. Subscribe if you believe true honor never needs to announce itself. Drop a comment with the word hero if this story moved you. Share this with someone who needs to remember that dignity isn't measured by where you sit. It's measured by who you are.